First thing you need to know is a couple of basics about how it works. The most important is pellets coming down into the unit. So you fill the pellets from the hopper in the back. Your hopper may open from the back side, or if it's a built-in, it would have been reversed and it opens from the front. It is very easy to reverse that. The second thing is the control. If you just plug in your control when you're ready to use it, it takes it about 90 seconds before it becomes active. So your screen will not respond at all for about a minute and a half. People call us and they exaggerate that minute and a half and say it takes 20 minutes or 5 minutes or what have you. It takes about a minute and a half. Once it becomes active, like this one is now, then you'll see a flash on that little button, but the screen will be black. If you touch the screen, you'll have an option that says Start Grilling. If you touch that, it immediately takes you to the screen that shows you the current settings. And this is the one that you use to start the grill with. Now, in order to set up more grilling features, I want you to go to the bottom where there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 icons. They're dashboard, grill settings, history, routines, and settings. The second from the left is grill settings. Go there and you can change the cook temp either by sliding this bar back and forth, or you can manually check it with a little plus or minus. So currently it's set on 395. I'm going to set it on 300. So that's using the touch button one time. After the bar took me to 295, I set it to 300. At that point, if you're ready to go ahead and use the grill, you go back to dashboard. So once you have the unit powered on, your screen's going to look like this. It's going to show you the ambient temperature outside because the whole unit is that temperature. Obviously, this is how you turn on and off the light inside the grill. The 3 probe settings, I'll show you how to do in a second, but this is really just a screen that it tells you what's going on the grill while you're cooking. So to set the grill up, go to grill settings. To change the temperature that you're going to cook at, you just click anywhere you want to on this bar. Now to set a smaller setting, let's say you wanted to be at 330, you just change it right there by going up or down. Probably the most important thing of all the things I'm trying to express during this video is these 2 buttons. In my opinion, Memphis made a big mistake when they named this direct flame setting. They should have named this the grill setting and this one the smoker setting, but they didn't. So the reason I say that is people usually associate the direct flame setting with the direct flame insert, which is the little square with the holes in it. I'll show you in a picture that I pop up on the video because they're not directly related. It is true that if you're using this, you should be using the direct flame insert, but it is not true that if you use the direct flame insert in the grill, you have to be in this mode. As a matter of fact, I would recommend that you almost never use this mode. If you do, you can see that you no longer have temperature control. Like in indirect, you have temperature settings. In direct, you only have low, medium, and extreme. So, and the other is, if you're in direct flame, the lid has to be open all the time. If it's not, it's going to overheat the grill and it's going to hurt itself. It's also a recipe for grease fires. The meat probe settings, this is how you change the settings for that. So the reason you would change these settings is you can set up the grease probes whatever temperature you want, and that is basically saying when the inside of the meat hits 212, which is very high, say 175, then the grill will go into a holding pattern and it will drop its cooking temperature to 180. I'm not a huge fan of that, but that's the way it works. So I will also tell you that as much as I would love to say these meat probes are absolutely dead on, I've never seen any grill probe that is as good as an aftermarket, like a meter or a thermopin. And we sell everything. So, you know, even in extremely high-end indoor appliances, I would still say that the aftermarket products are more accurate than the ones provided with grills or with ovens. It's just the way it is. So So within this, you can set each probe to have a temperature, or you can leave them, any way you want. But when you do that and you're in cooking, you're going to see the actual temperature displayed if you have a probe plugged in. So you can use up to three different cooks, and it'll monitor it and show it to you right there. So let's say that you're cooking, if I'm cooking a Boston butt, I'm going to want to finish around 240, and I'm going to cook it for about 12 hours. You may or may not want to set a timer. I don't usually do that, but you can. So if you're ready to light your grill, so you've got the hopper is full, both sides. They are not two hoppers, it's one hopper with a divider box. So you have to have both sides evenly filled. If you're ready to cook, then you hit initiate start sequence. And when you do that, you can hear the fans kicked in and the auger started to turn. And what's happening now is the auger is going to start dropping pellets down into the firebox. So inside the grill, once you've taken the guts off of it, what you've got is this is the chute where the pellets are sliding down and they're falling into the firebox. This on either side is the deflector plate where grease, pellets, ashes, everything is sliding off the side and falling down into the drawers below. This basket is removable to make it easy for you to clean out between uses. You just dump it and then put it back in. And this probe is the ignition probe, which gets upwards of around 1200 degrees and causes the pellets, once they fall down on top of the probe, that causes them to ignite. The probe will turn off once the grill gets going, gets up over 180, but not until that time. So it's important that that basket be clean. If you're cooking short cooks like a steak or a hamburger or something like that, you're not going to have to empty that basket every time, maybe every fourth or fifth. But if you're doing longer cooks like Boston butts, briskets, anything over about 4 hours, you should probably clean that out each time and make sure that you don't have an accumulation of ash after you've used, which makes it harder for that probe to get its heat to the new pellets and ignite them properly. Additionally, if you move your grill around a little bit, sometimes it can cause them to rattle down, and if it does, then that could cause you to have so many pellets that the heat just can't get to the right. All right, so you've got your grill lighting. It's starting to heat up. You have it set in indirect mode, and you can pick any temperature you want. If you're going to do steaks or hamburgers, I would recommend that you have this insert inside. It's the one with the holes in it. And my favorite setup is the heat is coming through here. Either use the one grid that came with it, or upper rack, or buy the accessory, which is 2 more of these. And I like to cook up here on this elevation, not all the way down. If you're all the way down, you're likely to incinerate whatever you're cooking because it's just too close to the fire. Or you're cooking something barbecue oriented or indirect. So in that case, we put that shield in. And in that case, you'll have an indirect setup. You can do pizza that way. You can do steaks that way, and hamburgers too. When the old grills were out, we didn't have that option of direct heat. And I did beautiful pork chops and steaks and so on, and hamburgers. In some ways it's better because you never have a flare up. But regardless, chicken wings, obviously barbecue at low temperatures would be cooked that way. So let's assume you're doing something low temperature barbecue like. You're gonna have your grates all the way down. I mean, everything's in the grill. And then I highly recommend you use pans like this. Go to Costco or Sam's, whatever flavor you like, and buy 2 boxes or 2 sets of these. This one is to collect all the grease, and this one is to put the food in. I like to poke those holes in it, and the reason is this becomes my drain. So I'm going to put a Boston butt in each of these, and the grease is going to drain down into this collection pan at the bottom. And at the end, I'm not going to have a drop of grease in my grill. It works beautifully. There's another YouTube on a little bit more in depth on that, but that's my favorite setup. I generally don't cook anything that drops a lot of grease. Chicken, turkey, Boston butt, brisket, so on. Anything that drops a lot of grease that doesn't cook right off. So steak drops a lot of grease, but it burns it right off. Hamburger, same story. Boston butt, not so much. And I don't want to scrape everything out, so I used this setup. But probably the single most important thing you should know is it doesn't matter what you're cooking. When you're in indirect mode, that lid stays down all the time. If you have to access something or doctor what you're cooking, do it quickly. 45 seconds is my max time that I have the lid open. 45 seconds is longer than it sounds like, but if you do have it open longer than that, you're gonna find that it drops so many pellets while you were losing temp that when you close the lid, the temperature is gonna go up, 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 faster and higher than you set it for, and then it's gonna drop back down and even out. But some people really don't like that. If you keep the lid closed a majority of the time, you'll never see any temperature fluctuation at all. Last is cleanup. In cleanup, everything goes down. If you have an Elite, you've got 3 drawers at the bottom. If you have a Pro, you have 2 drawers at the bottom. In either case, everything, grease, ashes, everything end up here. If you have a bunch of debris in here and this is just so nasty you can't reuse it, then you can cook with just this in and just dump this. But you do have to kind of plan ahead when it comes to replace those. They're a little bit, they're not as tall as the ones at grocery stores, so probably want to jump on Amazon and buy those ahead of time. When you're finished cooking and you want to shut this grill down, you don't just turn it off. What you're going to do is from the dashboard screen, you're going to go to the off button and you're going to tell it to start the cool down. What that does is it will now continue to run the fans, and it will stop running the auger, and the grill will burn off all of the pellets in it by simply watching the oven temperature. When the temperature can no longer stay above 165, then it will turn itself off. That's important for you to know because I have a lot of people who call me and say, I turned my grill off, but it takes it 30 to 45 minutes before it actually turns off. That's why. The other side of it is if you just unplugged it, or if it did just turn off right now, then you would end up with a firebox filled with pellets, making it very hard for you to light the grill the next time. That's kind of it for your very first time. You don't have to make this harder than it needs to be. You saw some accessories in the grills that I was using. Some of them had these big sear plates that are available, 12-inch as well as 6-inch. Obviously temperature probes, additional probes are an accessory as well. They all plug in, by the way, on this side of the grill in those little plug-ins there, and they pass through this hole through the oven wall, but they don't have to be. You can run them up underneath the lid if that's more your preference. These grills are incredibly flexible and you can have a lot of fun with them. Probably the most important things are use quality pellets. Absolutely don't use the cheapest thing you can find. It'll fill the firebox with dust and you'll have to clean it out constantly, and it will probably keep it from lighting as quickly. The other is no matter what pellet you have, keep it clean. That doesn't mean grease up top, it means grease down in the bottom and in the very bottom, and that firebox has to be cleaned out. If you can't breathe, it won't work. Hopefully you really enjoy your Memphis. If you have any questions or issues with it, don't hesitate to call Fireside. That's firesidekitchens.com, 706-722-3939, and always hit extension 1. Thank you.